Well, welcome to another episode of the More Than a Game podcast, and it's a special episode today and a number of special episodes coming up as we dive into the Australian Boomers' road to Paris as they gear up for the Paris Olympics. And we'll also be discussing the Boomers' progression throughout the Olympics. And joining me to help me do all that is Adelaide 36ers guard and Australian Boomers squad member DJ Vasiljevic. DJ, welcome back to the More Than a Game podcast.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, bro.
I'm excited, mate. Looking forward to journeying with you as we work through the Boomers progression and look into all things Boomers in the coming weeks. But let's dive into your story and just go back a little bit, because last time you're on the podcast, since then you've done so much. You moved teams, you won championships, you had a stint in the NBA with the Washington Wizards, Summer League, and then signed a contract. What's been happening in your world, mate, and how was that experience, first of all, with the Wizards?
No, it's just it's been a crazy kind of 12 to 18 months, I guess. Obviously winning a championship with the Kings and opting out to, go explore other options after that, and end up going to the Summer League with the Wizards after having a nice little free agent mini camp, I guess. Had a good Summer League, lucky enough to get an Exhibit 10 deal. Obviously going into training camp, I was there 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, so I was preparing myself really well. And obviously you get cut, phone call at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, not pleasant as always. So obviously they cut me, they did what was right for their, business or, what they did for their club. So I did what was right for myself a week later and decided to come back to the NBL and, big debacle with the Kings. They still had my rights, but ended up at the Adelaide 36ers, and I think it's only taken my my game to another level, being able to be me. Obviously, CJ fired halfway through, brought in Scotty Ninnis, so I think Scotty's got even more out of me, allowing me to have the ball, letting me rock a bit. And the reason to come back to the NBL is to show Gorge, I wanted to play in the Olympics, and was lucky enough to be into that 15-man squad and just missed the cut. But obviously, I got cut with a few other great players that I was really shocked to get cut. So it was a great experience. First time in either Olympics or World Cup squad, and into a camp. So it's only a start for me as I'm 27 years old. So I think I've got another 8 to 10 years in like that little program, just like Paddy and Joe are right now.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, just back into Adelaide, I feel like you've sort of, as you said, taken your game to the next level, but given more leadership capabilities, and you can see that shining through in your game, and that's obviously put you in good stead for the Boomers. So we're going to talk about Boomers. You had that opportunity to be part of the squad, obviously. Can you take us into the inner sanctum and what the culture is like, what's going on right now for the team? How was that experience, first of all?
No, it's unreal. Obviously, just getting there with the boys. Obviously, I knew Xavier Cooks, knew Duop. Obviously, you watch Paddy, you watch Joe, so getting to meet them for the first time, and obviously you get to talk about yourself a bit, hang out with Chris Goulding, hang out with everyone, really. Jock Landau. We had a couple of young guys in Rocco and Tui and Ben Henshaw there, so it was a great experience for them as well. Just learning, from veteran guys like Delhi, obviously young guys like Josh and Dyson, getting to hang out with them. It's just cool, because the biggest takeaway I had from that camp was I got to know people off the court. Like, everyone knows these guys on the court. Paddy, when he puts on a Boomers jersey, is like, he goes to a different level. Yeah. Joe's been there for a long time. He plays his heart out when he represents that, the green and gold. So just stuff like that. And then obviously you get to know a bit of their off the court life. Obviously what everyone does, families and stuff like that. So that's my biggest takeaway from that camp. That's for sure.
I did well, man. You got some minutes, obviously not many against China, but it was good to see you out there. And personally would have liked to see you on the team and doing your thing, but another time hopefully for you. But with the team that got selected, there was a lot of controversy around it. As you said, Chris Goulding, he missed out. The biggest one was Matisse Thybulle. I'm a huge fan of him, so it was a big surprise to see him miss out. But I like the team. I like the balance. I think that's what Gorge was going through. I think I think the World Cup squad lacked a little bit of balance, and you can see they learned from those lessons. So what were your thoughts on the team? Obviously disappointed to miss out, but do you like the team, or do you feel like there could have been some changes?
No, I think whoever out of the 17 you took were going to represent the green and gold with pride and give it all they can. I think, as I said, anyone from the 17 could have gone out there and given given a chance to get another medal for Australia. So I didn't mind the team at all. Obviously, the biggest shock to me was Cooks and Matisse. Obviously, I really thought they were locks before the camp. Obviously, Matisse being the only NBA guy to miss out, brought a lot of controversy. But watching the two games against the US and versus Serbia, I think they've found what they're looking for and what they wanted to identify. So it was just it's interesting, but I think they're going in the right direction. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, let's move to the USA game first of all. A couple of games to warm up with against the USA and Serbia. But USA, the first time they probably put a team together like this since probably the London Olympics, I would say, thinking back to LeBron, Kobe and co. But LeBron's back there, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards. They're loaded with talent. But let's look at the Boomers and how they approached the game. Obviously, it was going to be very different to the games against China, and obviously still learning their plays and getting to know each other as a team. But what were your thoughts about the game? And obviously, we went behind in the first half, but the second half clawed it back and brought it back to about 4 points. And the defense in that second half was incredible. But what were your takeaways from that game against the USA?
Yeah, obviously you watch it, and obviously the score reflecting 98-92. I don't think, in my opinion, it wasn't that close. And this isn't taking a shot at the Boomers at all. It's just because I think I watched the whole game and it was 15 plus points at every time, every time out or stuff like that. So, and obviously being the first exhibition game against, a talented squad like that in the US, it's going to get a bit of time. Paddy got critiqued for the game. Obviously, I think he was 2 of 8 for the game, had 5 points, and I think he had 5 turnovers or something like that. So you just got to keep in mind, Paddy not playing much throughout the NBA season is going to give him a bit of time, and that's how it happened last year. That's how it happened going into the Tokyo Olympics. So, but once he gets his foot going, when we talk into the Serbia game, he had a great game. So it was just getting his feet under him. Obviously, the US had 18 turnovers, so obviously them putting together a star-studded squad have some issues as well. The interesting stat was Australia had 11 shot attempts. So now it's about finding that, making shots, not allowing the US to get offensive rebounds and whatnot. But I think my biggest great takeaway was just how good Josh Giddey and Jock Landale looked in the pick and roll. They were elite, especially when teams play a drop coverage. I think Australia will strive because Jock can pick and pop. You have two-up as well, but just Josh getting downhill, being able to create, but being 6'8", 6'9" that he is, being able to finish, I think it's going to get Australia a long way. And I think the Boomers' best defender, and now I know why maybe Matisse was cut, because they saw the potential in Dyson Daniels, because he brings it both defensively, picking up full court, guarding the best guy, but he can also shoot and create down the other end. So maybe this is why going with Dyson Daniels was probably the better option for Gorge and the team than Matisse Thybulle moving forward.
Absolutely. Let's touch on Dyson Daniels. I do want to talk about him because he just looks so calm and collected. He does seem like he's pretty down to earth too. What was he like in camp, and what strengths does he bring to the team on top of what you've already said?
He's a down to earth guy. You can chill out with him, talk to him. He was asking me questions about Adelaide, my life, growing up, obviously a Victorian kid. I asked him a bit about the NBA, and obviously he just got traded to Atlanta, which I think is an even better situation for him. I think this Olympics will roll right into his upcoming season. He worked at a lot of Hoop City in Melbourne, so I was there 3 times a week, working, got to see what he was doing at his trainer. So we all kind of connected, went out to dinner, went out for a few drinks. So, he's just a down-to-earth guy, and I think that's how everyone was. But he's just so long, he's athletic. He plays with the boys that if you said that 2 years ago, you wouldn't think that. Hence why maybe he wasn't included. So just his development and growth over time, he could tell the potential is right there, and he could be a great Boomers player moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Moving further into the guard rotation, you mentioned Paddy's game. It did look like a bit of Team USA realising how important he is. So you could see they were defending him quite well and had those 5 turnovers, as you said. But he showed his worth and his quality against Serbia, obviously. I expect big things from him still in the Olympics. He's such a great player, such a great, leader in that group. what is he like in camp? If you can take us into that, into Sanctum again, you see his Instagram posts and his photos and the gold vibe stuff, but he seems so passionate about Australia. What is Paddy like to be around in that group?
No, he had a lot of stuff going on. I know he was doing a lot of his own fashion brand with LSKD and all this other stuff. And, he was just so busy off the court, but he was locked in on the court. He understands this could potentially be his last Olympics. Obviously, he looked really fit. He looked healthy. And yeah, it's just, Paddy just cares so much about putting on the green and gold that he will die out there for playing for his country. And that's just how he is as a person as well. He's really down to earth. He loves his community. Obviously, we did something for Game 2 with Deadly Choices and giving back to Indigenous basketball and stuff like that. So he's just very locked in, very great. As a great guy and like good to be around, really.
Yeah. As I said, I would have liked to seen a bit more of a knockdown shooter in the team, like yourself or Chris Golding, but obviously Paddy's there to do his thing. And again, shot well against Serbia. But with the wider guard rotation, there was a lot of criticism about, again, Paddy, Joe Ingles, that they're there to provide that culture and that leadership. And I'm glad they are to hand that on to the next generation coming through. But Matt Dellavedova, Delhi was a big surprise for some, but seeing his minutes against the USA and then Serbia, I think he's going to be a real quality piece to the team and just brings so much poise and control when he's on there. And obviously his defense is incredible as well. But what's Delhi like as a player and as a teammate? And were you surprised by his inclusion?
Honestly, I wasn't surprised. Obviously, Bogut talked about him not losing a game during the camp, and I was lucky enough to be on his team for 3 of those days that we actually competed in the scrimmages. So he's very communicative. He knows what to do, picks up people full court, but he also gets other guys involved, and he impacts the game so much. Like you look at the box score and you see Joe Ingles 3 minutes, and you see zeros across the board. So, but then you go to Dellavedova, who played 4 minutes. He's got 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. There's impact there. This is a guy who came in like the 3rd, 4th quarter to try and shake up things a little bit, So just staying ready, doing the little things. Bang, Delhi's on there. So he's really locked in as well. I think this is his 4th Olympics, so he actually really does care as well. Because again, it could be his last. Just going out there, giving everything he can. Obviously, like you said, I am a bit hesitant on the 3-point shooting, 4 of 18 against the US. But the inclusion of, obviously Jack McRae in there, I think they see him at the 3 spot who can actually knock down these shots. And obviously a big shout out to Jack McRae, who ended up getting a 2-way deal with the Houston Rockets a few days ago. So he's had an incredible 4 months, obviously winning a championship with Tassie, getting the finals MVP, getting married, and obviously making the Olympics, and now realizing his NBA dream's about to come true. So, just a big 4 months to him. He's put in the work, and a big shout out to Will Magnay as well, as it'll be his first Olympics along with Josh and Dyson as well. Yeah,
so well said, mate. I think it was awesome to see those Instagram posts too of them getting told that they're in the team. That was really cool. But speaking of Will Magnay, I think he showed his worth against the United States. Obviously, the big fellas, Joel Embiid, and I mean, I think we've needed someone like him in the side since Bogut's retired. We've sort of missed that big man, and he showed his worth against the US. But again, what do you think about the bigs rotation there? Obviously, Duop didn't get many minutes in both games, but it looks like they're pretty keen on Magnay playing big minutes.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Magnay played really well. I think he matches up on bigs really well, who love to bang bodies down low, and obviously Embiid, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, like those guys. Like I think he's suited for that type of game because he's actually really physically strong. He's got a quick jump, block shots, and he impacts the game. I think he was 11 minutes. He was 4 or 5 on the field. He had three rebounds and 2 steals and a block. Like he's impacting out there as well. And as you said, I think we missed that in the World Cup, where sometimes we had to play a Nick Kay or an Xavier Cooks at the 5. So then when you match up against a European or someone who's got a bigger center who's more physical, like how do we go, with that? So I think Will Magnay's inclusion, it was needed. But yeah, I'm a bit worried to see what's going to happen with Duop. Obviously, 2 minutes against the United States and then a DNP against Serbia. Obviously, You go and they play Puerto Rico and they play France coming up. So let's see if he gets some minutes or what's Gorge's idea behind that.
Yeah, absolutely interesting to see. Just finishing up on the USA game. We've obviously got our first look at them and obviously how we'll match up against them. We're probably, if we're going to go deep into the tournament, going to match up against them at some point again. Do you think we can beat them as the competition progresses?
I think we can, because I think that Australia will gel as these exhibition games go along, and obviously we've got the pool of death. So we have to play Spain first up. We have to play Greece, and then we have to play Canada. So if they can take care of business against the Canadians, I think they'll have a good chance against the United States because they both play the similar style of basketball. Yeah, we just got to find the groove ASAP. Really, like we got to get it going because once the group stages go, you lose one game and it's it goes quick, so you can't lose a game. So I think we can take it to the US. But we just got to get out of the group, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Let's move to the Serbia game. Just touch on that. I think Josh Giddey came into his own that game. Obviously played well against USA too, but he did some incredible things. He's a tough player, that's for sure. They're going to be tough too, Serbia. They showed their worth there. How did you see that game after the game previously against the US?
Yeah, I actually just watched what kind of lineup Scourge was using out there. He was actually playing only like 9 guys. So I kind of noticed that from the 2 games I watched. Yeah. And I read an article Morgan released. It's like the core 9. So like he's playing, obviously starting with Giddey, Mills, Dyson, Nick Kay, and Jock. Yeah. And then he's bringing in Josh Green, Dante, McVeigh, and Magne. And then that leaves like spot minutes for Joe, Delhi, and Duop. Yeah. So it's just like finding that right balance, and I think he found it in this game. Obviously, Paddy going off for 28 points. Josh didn't have like a big impact on the points, but he was really good defensively, finding guys on offense, running the show and stuff like that. So, I think it was a great team win because Serbia plays the same kind of style as Spain and Greece, so it gives us a great warm up into that. Obviously, Serbia shooting 3 of 22 from the 3 helps, means Australia's defense was elite. Yeah. But again, like what if they hit another 4 or 5 threes, or, what if Serbia doesn't have the 15 turnovers that Australia forced, like just stuff like that. So if you can take care of games where teams come out sluggish and don't perform too well, I think, Australia just got to pounce on it. Obviously not having Bogdanovic, not having Jovic. I think there was one more that Serbia didn't. That was their best defender. But again, it's a great team win. The 3-point shooting, 10 of 23 for the game was elite. And obviously Australia, I think they've identified how they want to play. They want to be a defensive, pick the ball up, full court, try and turn them over, start the team starting the offense at 14, 15 seconds, and then as soon as their shot goes up, one shot, only get the rebound and play fast. So I think they figured that out, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, mate. Well, to finish up, we've got 2 more warm-up games coming up against France and Puerto Rico over the weekend. They're live streamed on 1891 Courtside. I haven't heard of that before, but there you go. So looking forward to watching those. How do you see these 2 matchups going?
Puerto Rico, it'll be interesting. I think Australia can take care of business pretty easy against the Puerto Ricans. Obviously, playing against teams who've just come off like these qualifier games, so they've already been thrown in the fire, so they've got a bit of games and been together for a while now, so allows them to play knowing what people are going to be, where Australia's still trying to figure out. Obviously 2 games against China, now we played the US, now we played Serbia, but I think these next 2 games with 2 different styles will give them another indication of where they're at and where they want to keep going moving forward. I think Puerto Rico, they'll take care of that pretty easily. Against France, we'd love to see how they match up with the length of the French team. Obviously, Gobert, they got Wembanyama. They've got Bilal Coulibaly, who's with the Washington Wizards as well. Apparently he's grown to 6'10" or something, and he's got a 7'3", 4 wingspan. So just athletes out there for the French. And that's a team you're probably going to face. If it comes to it, it's going to be somewhere in the semi-finals or a medal for gold, silver, or bronze. So, not all teams in exhibition are going to throw all their cards out there. but it gives you a certain idea how they're going to play and how they're going to play certain guys. So we'll see how they match up with Paddy, how they guard Josh, how they're going to play the pick and roll with Josh and Jock, and maybe if they do play a drops, you might have to include Duop, because I feel like Duop can match up with Wembanyama, but if you're going to play if they're going to play an inside game with Gobert, you're going to need Will Magnay out there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, mate. Looking forward to seeing how they go, and looking forward to reviewing those games with you too, mate, in a few days' time. DJ, see you in a few days' time, mate. Thanks again.
I appreciate it. I look forward to breaking down more of the Boomers games into the Olympics.
That sounds good. See you, mate. Awesome.